A nonpartisan race means you don't have an R or a D or any other initial by your name, so people really don't know. However, it's kind of, I don't know, people need to know that because it says nonpartisan doesn't mean that it is nonpartisan. Who you are and what your political pedigree is brought to the fore. So people need to do some homework to find out what your beliefs are.
Okay.
And that's why it's a really good idea to look in the voters pamphlet to see who the candidate is endorsed by. That'll give you an idea.
And who's endorsing you?
We have the, because I'm a pro-life candidate, Oregon Right to Life.
All right.
Fortunately, they understand that there are people, and myself included, that the right to life is such a foundational issue that that's not negotiable. That the sanctity of life is not something that we can say is a matter of choice. So life from conception to natural death is the way pro-life candidates can, describe themselves. So that's one of my political platforms. The other people that are endorsing me are property rights groups like Oregonians in Action. Oregonians in Action is fighting the battle statewide for land use issues and for property rights issues, and that's a big one. I'm a proponent of the Second Amendment, and I believe that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And at the county level, I think people need to understand that the county commissioners are the gatekeepers for all of our rights, whether it's the First Amendment or the Second Amendment or even the Fourth Amendment, which has been pretty much watered down, we've seen, but the Fourth Amendment is very clear that we have the right to privacy.
Yeah. But the NSA is the problem. Yeah. Is there any, how much would the NSA, let's say, be into a place like San Francisco or Los Angeles compared to, like a Yamhill County area? Is there any differentiation between?
I think at this particular point in time, it's safe to say that our Fourth Amendment rights are under attack, and that is happening at the federal level. And it would be also safe to say that it doesn't really matter where you live. The Fourth Amendment is being compromised all over the place. But again, I think it's important for people to know that when you elect somebody, are you electing somebody who is concerned about the Bill of Rights, is concerned about our individual liberties, and concerned about limiting government, keeping an eye on government. And that's one of the things that I need people to understand is that at your local government level, you better know who you're electing.
Yeah. Well, your campaign issues, why don't we go over that then, and let's see who we're electing.
Okay. To me, I believe that in this county, we have everything. We've been blessed with everything that we could possibly need. We have it all here. We do have our challenges. We have challenges in our economic sector. We've got just about everything that we need for industry to flourish, but we need to encourage industry to be here. So when it comes to economic development, that's got to be job number one. Because if people aren't working and there is no prosperity, we, number one, can't help those people who are in need, but we will then look outside of Yamhill County for our economic opportunities, and then you see people moving out. What we need to do is encourage business and industry to come in and to support the industry and business that is here. The small business owners and the home-based business are the workhorses that pull the cart. They need to know they're living in an environment that is conducive to economic support. So we don't regulate and tax and fee our business people to death. That the death by 1,000 cuts. We make it conducive for them to do business here, and we court business and industry to come.
Yeah. Now, if the county was run by more liberal-minded people, how would that look different as far as businesses wanting to come in?
I like to say profit is not a four-letter word. Profit is something that a rising tide lifts all ships. When somebody is making money, they can hire other people. They can spend money in to be benevolent in the community. I think that we have to look at the approach as capitalism is not bad.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
Capitalism is freedom.
Capitalism is
The
freedom.
opposite of capitalism is a tyrannical government that tells you what you can and can't do.
Socialism.
Yeah.
So I'm of the mind that when people are making money, everything goes along so much better. You know, life is difficult as it is. Without money and without resources, life becomes that much more difficult.
Yeah.
So just try to imagine a different level of prosperity here in the county that is due to the mindset that profit is a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I grew up single-parent home. My mom was on welfare part of the time, and it was really hard. My dad didn't pay child support. And I remember going to things like used clothes stores, and, you know, thank God my grandma owned a clothes store, and that really helped. But other times we went to other used clothes stores, and there was hardly anything. It was just, I couldn't wear anything there, practically. Now you go into a Goodwill, and I mean, my kids who don't have to shop at Goodwill like going to a Goodwill.
Oh, it's
And
definitely fun to
because-
shop in Goodwill. You can
Yeah.
find some really good stuff.
Yeah, and that goes to show when a whole society makes money, not only can they, you know, give, you know, to places like Africa and things like that, you know, give to their church to help support other areas around the world, but you wind up with a Goodwill or any, you know, a food giveaway place just full of stuff. Now, when I was younger, they didn't have that to the degree that they have now. I mean, we're just full of abundance, and it goes to show capitalism. You know, we don't need the government to say, you know, force, you know, direction of, you know, minimum wage increases and things like that. We need a flourishing system, and it'll just naturally just make way for other goods and services.
The free market really does work.
Yeah.
Free market, free enterprise really does work. And so I believe that government that governs best governs least. So the more we can allow people to make their own decisions without making those decisions for them, the more that government leaves money in our pockets without saying we know best how to spend it, so we're going to spend it for you. I think that's one of the reasons that Yamhill County has been and it continues to be financially and fiscally in pretty good shape. That's because there's been a balance of power on the Board of Commissioners that has been very conservative fiscally. That balance of power changes, and we wind up becoming like other counties who find themselves, quite frankly these days, in difficult financial straits. So it is important to keep the balance of power with a fiscally and socially conservative ideology, and that's the reason I'm running, because I love where I live. I've lived in Multnomah County. I've lived in Clackamas County. There is a decided difference, and we need to make sure that that kind of an influence doesn't permeate our politics here.
Okay. So while we're working into the campaign issues, that's the question I asked. Also, what are you hearing people talk about, their concerns or things that they would like to see here in our county?
Economically, we have some challenges. And if you look at, for instance, we've got a disparity in this county as to what's going on in different cities. If you look at Willamina, for instance, Willamina and Sheridan have really been hit hard economically. But then if you look at Carlton, Carlton is a tiny little town that has every storefront rented. They have to turn away business because they don't have the water infrastructure to support a hotel or a bed and breakfast. But they've got a waiting list of people who want to rent their storefronts. However, if you go to Sheridan and Willamina, you go to Amity, even storefronts in Newburgh are empty. We need to revitalize that and make sure that we've got a really good economic plan in every one of our 10 cities, because I believe that this county is only going to be as strong as our weakest city. So to me, the most important emphasis is going to be on economics, and that's what people are telling me. I've been going around the county and asking people, employers and retailers and small businesses and big businesses, what would it take for you to hire one more person? And if every business owner...
That's a really good question.
Yeah, that's all, one more person. What would that take? If every business in this county hired one more person, wouldn't that take an enormous bite out of our unemployment problem? The other problem we're seeing is to attract industry...
What's the answer when you ask
The
them?
answer is people say, well, I need more customers. Well, I need more money. Well, that's not what they really need. Is we need a solid base. We need people who live here, who are paying taxes, who have a disposable income, have discretionary funds. So if you have people who are living hand to mouth, They can't afford to go into a store and purchase things.